Welcome to Plant and Water. Today we're going to kind of do a continuation from last week as we introduced a Bible study guide, a way in which you can, anyone can lead a Bible study doing a 3-column Bible study. And if you're interested in that, maybe you can look at the previous week's link and you can look into that. But in fact, because of that Bible study, JJ was able to conduct a 3-column Bible study with our youth group.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Oh, that's fantastic. We did James 1, 2, and 3, and of course we're doing it over Zoom now, so the kids had time to write it down and discuss their his words, my words, and I will, and it was pretty neat. They all did it and had a good time with it, and it actually helped study.
Do you feel that maybe the Zoom, having that Zoom, focus, obviously we would rather be together, but getting interaction, getting people to take part, there's nobody looking over their shoulder, there's nobody sitting there, well, this is taking me too long, and it can cause, sometimes that can cause a nervousness when you're all together.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, having the Zoom, the digital meeting, I find like we're having more conversation.
Yeah. They're in the comfort of their own home, and it makes you feel a little bit comfortable. I hope we're not getting too comfortable with that, because I like to be back in the comfort of our classroom.
And that's the thing. This is a plan B. This is not plan A.
But like you're saying, though, it does help out, and I do get a good response. I get a good response in the classroom too, but it does make you feel a little comfortable.
It's just
to
different.
Open up, and
it's just different, and it's not preferring it over others. But I think what's neat, because of some interaction that he had, we decided to do our Plant and Water today, based on that same passage. We're going to go from James chapter 1 verses 2 through 5 though, but we'll look at just real quickly. The idea of a 3-column Bible study is it's a piece of paper, landscape style, and put 2 lines down the middle. You've got 3 equal columns. The first column is his words. Second column is my words. The third column is I will. So his words is you literally write down the passage word for word. And then the second column, you write down each verse in your own words, my words. And then based on that, those 2 columns, you really have taken it into your mind. You're not just reading it now. It's really it's ingested. And you're starting to think it through. What's the third column? It's I will. Because of these 2 columns, what will I do? And so you write out I will. And what the class is then you share did y'all do that? Did y'all share the my word section and the I will section?
Yeah. We called on each one and who would like to share, and a few spoke up right off, and then of course there are some that are still kind of bashful about things. They say, hey, what'd you write? Oh yeah, I wrote. But I had a lot of sharing of each. So
right.
It was great.
What's powerful about this, and I would encourage you to do this as a family, especially we've got our family Bible study in the evenings. We'll have like a family devotional. That's something that you can do even if you've got an 8-year-old in the house. You can get them to write down in their own words, because it's their own words. And it's going to be different than mom. It's going to be different than dad. It's going to be different than brother or sister. And so what's neat is everybody sharing that creates the Bible study, creates the discussion. And that also means everyone has a part to play, and everyone's my word section is valid. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So I think it's an easy way to facilitate Bible discussion. Then sharing the I will section, it's just something that as a family now, what are we going to do? So I think it's important. I think for this discussion, especially this passage, it's relevant for what we're going through right now.
Right. Oh yeah.
I mean, count it all joy, my brethren, when you meet trials of various kinds. I'm glad that James, through the Holy Spirit, put various kinds, because it includes COVID-19 that didn't exist during that time. It includes a quarantine where I'm separated from my friends and my family. It includes a quarantine that is separating me possibly from my workplace, to where I'm not even able to work from home. It's causing trials that we're facing right now that are they're getting more and more challenging, and we've got to recognize that. And so this is going to be a blessing for every single one of us, come what may, because it's trials of various kinds. Because it says, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience, steadfastness, right? So notice it's the testing of our faith. We're going to be facing a testing of our faith, no matter what. If it's a trial, it's a guarantee. If it, by definition, is a trial, it's a guarantee it's going to test our faith. So where is my faith? My faith has to be in something that will help me hold up during that trial. If my faith is in anything less than God, then I'm going to crumble. So notice it says, the testing of your faith may produce steadfastness. You want to read verse 4 and 5?
Yeah. I'll just read the whole thing again.
Yeah, just read the whole thing again.
All right, so this is coming from James 1, 2 through 5. It says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and will be given him.
So a testing of our faith is being done right now or whenever a trial comes. What's on the line when we talk about the testing of my faith? Well, I think it's interesting, the word for testing here. I like to read the definition. The Greek word for testing is the process or means of determining the genuineness of something. So it's a test. See, I think when we hear test, we immediately think, well, in high school, at college, I had tests. And, pop quiz. You get to class, and your teacher comes in and says, okay, put your books away, we're having a test. It's,
Man.
no! And I think sometimes we'll go, that teacher always gives us tests. And we don't. So when we hear the word test, I think immediately I go, no! We don't. Why do we do that? Well, it will literally see for the teacher whether we know the material or not. The test is also for the teacher to see, am I delivering that material in the right way? So it helps the teacher, but it's also helping the student see, okay, you know what? I don't have the material down. Or, you know what? I do have the material down. It depends on the perspective. So it's seeing whether I'm genuinely getting the material or not. Genuine. There's no way to cheat the system when it comes to our faith. You either are faithful or you're not. Right. And trials will come that will literally test whether our faith in God is genuine or it's not. And that's a good thing. Yeah. So testing is a good thing. So we've got to constantly remind ourselves of that. We're facing things, though, that are going to be, by definition, hard. They're going to be challenging. So they're going to be some of the hardest tests we've ever had to sit, and there is no open book. Wait a minute, there is. We better open our book.
That's right.
We have the book. But the thing is, if I go to take that test and I've got to cram for that test, maybe I pull an all-nighter the night before, and I just do all I can because the deadline is there, I'm not going to do very well. That's why we study to show ourselves approved unto God, a workman who needeth not to be ashamed, rightly handling the word of truth. I rightly handle the word of truth as I daily study the word. That scripture will help me the moment I am faced with a temptation, the moment I'm faced with a test. I have the answer. Well, what did Jesus do when he was being tempted in the wilderness for 40 days? We have 3 of those accounts that are recorded in Matthew chapter 4. When Satan tested him, tempted him, there is a comparison there. Temptation is from Satan to destroy us. But at the same time, it's a test from God to approve us. We'll see that in verse 12 of James 1. So what's interesting is how did Jesus respond every single time? He said, it is written. He didn't say, hey, wait a second, Satan, let me, I think, this is really challenging. He said, it is written. Take these stones, turn them to bread. It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but what proceeds from the mouth of God. So he tells us in the first place that he's living for what proceeds from the mouth of God. That is the manual. Or it is written, you shall not tempt the Lord your God or put him to the test. Right? So talking about Satan. So we don't put God to the test, but we can and will be tested. But we don't test God because that will not go well. So when it comes to this process or means of determining the genuineness of our faith, you can't fake the answers. You can't fake your faith. Ooh, that needs to be a T-shirt or a bumper sticker or something. I think that you can't fake your faith. So what's interesting though is either we have faith or we don't. 1 Peter 1, 6 through 9 shows us the same word that's used when it comes to testing. And this is Peter's equivalent to what James writes. It's almost, you can compare them together like a mirror, and they almost match up perfectly. Would you like to read that for us?
Yeah, 1 Peter 1, 6 through 9 says, in this you rejoice, though now for a little while, if necessary, you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes though it is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Though you have not seen him, you love him. Though you do not now see him, you believe in him and rejoice with joy that is inexpressible and filled with glory, obtaining the outcome of your faith, the salvation of your souls.
So there's a lot of meat here. So when he says the tested genuineness of your faith, it's the same. That's several words in our English language, but that's still one word in the Greek. The same word we find in James chapter 1, verse 2. Wow. So the tested genuineness of your faith, in essence, it could be said the same way, count it all joy when you meet trials of various kinds, knowing that the tested genuineness of your faith, James could be saying the same thing. So we recognize that, well, what Peter brings out is the test is by fire. Mm-hmm. Wow, more precious than gold. I think it's interesting. There is not a coincidence here that gold and a test by fire is placed together, because you test the genuineness of gold by melting it down. Mm-hmm. When it's melted down into its liquid state, that's where you tell whether it's 14 karat, 18 karat, or whatever caliber of the gold is. So it has to be melted down in order for it to take place. So my faith, for it to be tested and to be found to be genuine, it has to go through that process of melting down.
Right.
So there literally has to be a test. You can't go through life without a test. But I don't want to hear that. I don't want to feel that. Why can't I just get a degree without a test? If that were the case,
yeah, go ahead. You wouldn't know where you stand at.
We wouldn't know where we stand, and it would be a piece of paper that might as well just be thrown away.
Yeah.
So that's why there's standardized. Not standardized. That's why there's what's the word? Not standardized testing. Accreditation. That's why we have accreditation. Sometimes standardized testing can say whether you can pass a test or not, but you don't know the material. So there's some questions surrounding that, standardized testing. But that's for another time, or maybe in the comments below if you would like. But as far as accreditation, you want to make sure that the school that you're a part of is fully accredited, because you've wasted your time if it is not. You're not going to make it into college. And if the college isn't an accredited college, then you're not going to get a good job. Because, wait a minute, you just got a piece of paper, and it won't help you. So So there are standards that are being met. So the institutions that we're even a part of in our schooling system are tested in order that the test they give us will be worth anything or not. So everybody goes through a test. There's no way of getting around that. So when it comes to my faith, if it's going to be genuine, it's got to be tested. So we have to keep that in mind. I think sometimes we think, I become a Christian, everything's good now. Why am I going through this, God? That's the first thing that we ask. Well, it's just like the student asking the teacher, why are you giving us so many tests? It's to see whether you have the material down or not. It's to see whether you are trusting the teacher, whether you're taking in the information or not.
Yeah. That song, this verse kind of reminds me of a song, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I mean, what is it? It says, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. The word for steadfastness is hupomeno, the ability to remain. Meno is remain, and hupo is under, to remain under. So the ability to remain under the trial. So it's like a weight. So we literally have this weight. So if I am a weight, lifter, if I'm trying to lift a certain amount of weight, think about what that does. If I try to lift this weight off of my shoulders, and if it's literally just a little bit heavier than I'm used to, what I'm doing is I'm going to be tearing my muscles. If I've done it in the right way, I'm not going to be tearing them too badly. If it's done in incremental measures, I'm going to be tearing down my muscles, which is going to be sore for the next 3 days. Probably third day is always the worst. It's going to hurt. But then the next time I go and I can increment that weight just a little bit more, because what I've done is I've torn down my muscles to build them back stronger. My muscles aren't going to grow unless I've literally torn them down to build them back. So even our physical muscles have to go through trials in order for them for us to be strong. But how many people don't want to go through the pain of it? And so what they do is they get these muscle implants put in there. Silicone. Chicken legs, don't worry about it. Just put silicone in there and you'll look like you're strong. That doesn't. You can't fake your muscles. You can't fake your faith in the same exact way. So maybe it would be good to share maybe some of the I will sections from some of the kids. If you,
yeah.
Be good to
some of them that mentioned when they read, read James 2 and 3. One of them said it helps with patience. It gives them patience to go through these trials, and when you gather patience from it, you have patience to study more, and learn from those trials
and work through this situation. I mean, that's why this passage is so relevant.
Yeah. It is through all this that we're going through now. So patience was one.
So Jack mentioned that. I mean, think about it. This is his senior year. Most times your senior year, this is the time to just enjoy your friends and enjoy making it, because you're about to go to college. This is not generally a time, in any of our memories, that we've all been staying at home. Well, for me it was, because I was homeschooled.
Yeah.
But my senior year was at home, so you can make it, Jack. But that's why patience, I think, would be the most important right now, because we've got to have patience to work through this. It's just going to cause us to have to wait. And how many people are getting to the point that we have to, we can't be patient anymore. And so, again, there's got to be a balance there. But we've got to wait for the Lord. What is it? They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They will mount up with wings as eagles, run and not be weary. They will walk and not faint. God's allowed this to take place right now. And we've got to be willing to see, what is God doing in us? Very good. Yeah, did you want to?
Yeah, Caitlin mentioned not to overthink, but to do it for the right reasons. So don't overthink the trials, and I think that kind of tags along with being patient. not to overthink it, but do it for the right reasons when you go through those trials. And
Well, see, I could overthink a trial and think, I'm experiencing this trial because I've done something wrong. I must have done something wrong. I must be doing something horrible for this bad thing to happen. We can look at Job and realize it's because of his righteousness that God actually said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? That he is righteous in every way and he always turns away from evil. God believed in Job that much to allow Satan, to even put it into Satan's mind, to say, he will never turn away from me. So when you face a trial, sometimes we can overthink it, so what Caitlin said, and think maybe it's because we've done something bad. Or this could be, God has considered me worthy to face this trial. And I'm going to make it to where God hasn't taken his faith away from me, or that God has had his faith in me not in vain.
Right. And that can kind of go along with what Nico said, is not getting mad when things don't go your way. When you're in those trials and it's not going your way, don't get upset about it.
Yeah.
Face it.
Who would actually want a trial? Nobody wants a trial.
Yeah, who wants that? But don't get upset with it. Face it. Take care of it. And if you didn't have it all together, go to the Scripture, work it out.
What these scriptures do for us, though, is it helps us to see that we'll be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. What's the last part there? Lacking nothing. And then it says, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given. God will give us wisdom. Well, wisdom is applied knowledge. It's the knowledge, the ability to put my faith into practice. When is that going to take place? During a trial. Context shows that I believe God will even send a trial to help us to learn and grow to become lacking nothing. That's the cycle that he's given. So it makes sense that God will be able to even use that trial, whether it's sent by God or not. Just look at Job and look at that account. See, that's how God works. So it's for our good. Now, Satan will use it for our bad. He wants to destroy us. I mean, what does James 1:13 say? Let no one say when he's tempted, I'm being tempted by God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. Right? It's not something, God doesn't want us to be destroyed. God's not tempting us. Verse 12 says, blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he'll receive the crown of life which God has promised to those who love him. So to Nico's point, not getting mad when things don't go your way. We're living for God's way. We're seeking God's way. We love God. And every trial we face tests whether we love God or we love ourselves. So where we receive a crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. God is not going to promise something and then rip it away from us. Well, if things feel like the promise feels like it's being ripped away, then I'm putting my trust in the wrong promise. Promise is the crown of life. It's heaven. And that is something I've got to continue to remain strong, remain under that trial until heaven. So I hope this has been an encouragement for you.
And a lot of other kids talked about how some of these trials will help them or motivate them. I think that was another one, was motivation to keep on studying the Bible and prayer life and all that. It's motivation. You face those trials, I just got hit hard with that. Well, maybe I need to ready up for the next one.
Well, to put that into focus, the motivation. How many times do we say, how do I motivate myself? How can I be motivated? You look at a Google search. How many people are searching, how do I find motivation? Well, when it comes to being motivated to follow God, in the middle of a trial, you don't even need to think about motivation. I want to get out of this situation. You go to Scripture. I remember going through something that at the time was the hardest thing I'd ever had to face. That doesn't, That's why it says various trials of various kinds. I don't even have to tell you what I was going through.
Yeah.
All I know is at the time, it was one of the hardest things I'd ever faced. And I remember I was sitting on my bed and I look over, and I had a queen size bed, and I was in high school. So I literally used it for my storage. I had everything on one side of that bed. Might as well have been a single bed. And I look over, and my Bible was sitting on the side of the bed. And I remember looking at it and going, I don't remember the last time I read that. I don't remember the last time I read that. And I felt ashamed immediately that I had not been trusting in God. And I remember I grabbed the Bible and I just opened it up, and it went to Psalm 70. And it said a prayer for help at the top of the heading in my Bible. And it was the Bible my grandfather had given me. My father-in-law just rebound that, by the way. I found out last night he's sending it to me. So he got that done. So thank you for that. But in that same Bible, there I put a little bookmark there, because as I read down, it went to Psalm 71, verses 1 through 3. And it said, in you, O Lord, I put my trust. I immediately thought, wow, I haven't been putting my trust in God. So in you, O Lord, I put my trust. It says, let me never be put to shame. I had just felt shame because I reached over for my Bible and couldn't remember the last time I'd done it. So in you, O Lord, I put my trust. Let me never be put to shame. Deliver me in your righteousness and cause me to escape. Incline your ear to me and save me. Be my strong refuge to which I may resort continually. You have given the commandment to save me, for you are my rock and my fortress. My tears changed from that very moment to tears of joy, because I realized that my rock had not been in God at that moment. And for whatever you're going through, whatever situation you're going through, let steadfastness have its full effect. Allow it to. Don't sit there and try to throw it off. How many people are trying to throw it off and even throw it away? Trying to because they have nowhere to go. Let this have its perfect work to allow you to say, you know what? I need to put my trust in something that can't go away, that doesn't need a stimulus, that can't be destroyed by society's measures that they're taking. Allow that to happen. And so that's what helped me. In fact, I just put a bookmark there, and I just kept going to it over and over and over, and it infused into my mind. I never intended to memorize that passage, but it just happened. And so that's what will help us through any trial, and it literally will cause us to hold to something bigger than ourselves, cause us to hold to God. And so I think that's going to help us and say, you know what? I'm so thankful. And in hindsight, I'm thankful now that what I wanted didn't come to fruition, because I've seen what God had in mind for me. So that's just, for whatever it's worth, I think we have to apply this personally. But it's important. Thank you all so much for joining us. Want to encourage you to join us for our live streaming. We're still live streaming our services. And so just go to our Deerfoot Church of Christ Facebook page or deerfootcoc.com, and you can see our services. And that's at 10:30 on Sunday mornings. We are live streaming those, but you can also see them at any time. And so Sunday night, in fact, this Sunday night, we're going to be having our question and answer session. We've had several questions that have come in. So I want to encourage you to join in that. But do you have anything else to maybe add? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, God bless.
Have a good day.